Hello and welcome back to the channel. My name is Crashy and today we're diving into another tier list. But here's the thing, I want to put the disclaimer out there. This is like it's like the anticipated day one tier list. It's like the hypothesis, what we think might be good with this new patch, and we're gonna put out the tier list. We'll check back on it in some time. You know, things have to settle, so even I could be really wrong. Now I was looking back at my last one. I want to split things out a little bit, and honestly it just kind of comes down to like subjective structure, but I do want to like really start to pull things away a little bit, and I'm going to focus on how the meta really feels rather than like me putting these like hypothetical barriers up. You'll see what I mean. All right, so we're starting off. I just have my Pokemon in my order. You guys know how I do it. I like to do my own little tier list. I think it looks nice. But we're gonna go with the Lowland Ninetales. Now here's the thing, I think a Lowland Ninetales is an easy A tier attacker. It's one, like if you look at the full attacker lineup, a Lowland Ninetales is just solid. Really solid choice. You can't really go wrong with a Lowland Ninetales. In most team comps, really solid. I really don't even have a lot else to say about it. Just very lots of CC, lots of damage. I want to give my thoughts on it a bit, but really just really solid. It's really the best way to put it. Talonflame, I gotta put Talonflame at B. You know, the jungle meta is defined the way that it is. I think the last tier list I did, I put a lot more things in A tier, and I kind of said like, oh well, if the jungle meta wasn't what it is, but it is what it is. It's not really going anywhere anytime soon, it doesn't seem like. I think Talonflame's one of the better speedsters in the game. You know, he's pretty solid. He has good steal potential, really good mobility. I really like him. He's got good damage. Like, Talonflame's pretty solid. He just doesn't really get to shine in the current meta very much. Slowbro, I'm gonna do the same thing, man. I think that Slowbro is a solid tank. That said, I don't think that there's a lot of tank diversity going on right now. I don't really see Slowbro as like an A tier pick or anything like that. I just think that like he's really good, really solid. There's kind of a gap between a lot of the tanks, but yeah, pretty solid. Mr. Mime, oh man, you know what I have to do? I have to put Mr. Mime in C tier, but hear me out. Maybe this would be like the bottom of B tier, but the reason I'm putting Mr. Mime in C tier is not because the character is bad. I want to be very specific about this. I don't want anybody that mains Mime, Megaverse, I'm talking to you, to have any kind of negative opinions about this placement. It's not that he's bad, it's just in terms of tiering out a character, he's super niche. Like if there was an entire tier by itself that's like, this character is just really niche, that's where Mime goes. Mime is really good. You just have to have a team comp built for Mime, and I don't even know what that is or if that even really exists. So Mime is not bad, very good character, just really niche, and so you don't have a lot of universal play with Mime. Lucario, I mean, need I say more? S tier attacker, can jungle, can lane, obviously can lane really well, has ridiculous burst, has execute potential on big objectives, like one of the best characters in the game, hands down. No question. Greninja, not gonna lie, I had this character like, oh, he's a good option, but he's not Cinderace type of deal. He's just so strong. Like they nerfed him, and I'm putting him higher than I had him before. It's the current state of the jungle is Cinderace and Greninja jungle. It is what it is. I think that Greninja is insane. Lots of solo carry potential here. Crazy in teams. Like this character is really strong, and we got to put that respect on the character. Gengar. All right. Like I said, I want to start to spread things out a little bit. Gengar, it's almost really similar to Mr. Mime. He's not like terrible, but he doesn't do what other characters can do in the speedster jungle role. The jungle meta is definitely not suited for speedsters right now anyways, and of the speedsters I think Gengar's kind of on the weaker end, but there's really good like stomp potential. If you can get ahead, like Gengar's pretty good, but really just doesn't have a lot going for Gengar. Really doesn't. All right, Gardevoir, I'm gonna put Gardevoir in B tier. Here's the thing, I think Gardevoir is like one of those Pokemon in the game that has like untapped potential. People just aren't giving her the respect she needs. I think that she's got great jungle potential because you can get fed like the other attackers, but she's not a great laner, she's not a great jungler. She's just really strong endgame, which is going to keep her in a solid B tier. She is niche in the sense that like you kind of have to build a team comp around her too, but she's better than the other niche picks that I would be able to say the same, I suppose. Garchomp, like I said, I really flooded the A tier last time I did this list. I think it's going to be a little bit more spread out. I think Garchomp is a pretty solid B tier. He just got some buffs. He's a really great late game scaling character. But the thing is again, the jungle meta really doesn't support Garchomp, and the way that lanes work out doesn't really support a lot of melee either. So Garchomp he's really good, man. I think that he's really solid. He just doesn't really have a place to shine, and that's kind of my issue with the current jungle meta. But that's what I'm feeling about it. Eldegoss, solid A tier pick. I had this character in S tier, but with some changes to supports and some new supports, I think it's going to kind of take a little step back, but really, really solid. You can't go wrong with having healing and Eldegoss on the team. Crustal. You know, I think that I don't know what I feel about Crustal. I could easily put Crustal in B tier, but I feel like I'm kind of defining the C tier by just like super niche, and like you have to have a really strong reason to run it. I don't know. If I'm being honest, I don't know if Crustal's B tier or C tier. And I feel comfortable saying that out loud because I don't want to be scrutinized for this placement. But between Slowbro and Crustal, I don't really have a preference. If I'm going to have one or the other, like it's whatever. So maybe Crustal's B tier, or just like high C tier is a little bit more niche. Maybe Slowbro's C tier, high B tier. You know, I don't really know. But this is kind of what I'm feeling right now. And again, this is like that hypothesis tier list. We'll just have to wait and see. We'll have to wait and see. If maybe I'm wrong. Maybe Crustal will start seeing a lot more play. But it just doesn't really feel like it. Cramorant, he's the other mage, right? Like the other big mage of the game that goes up there with Ninetales. Very interchangeable. You see a lot of play from competitive out of Goof. But I honestly think Cramorant might be better than Ninetales right now, but they're very, very similar. They fill that really nice mage kind of damage role. He brings CC, but he mostly brings burst and that ability to zone people with that ultimate. Really, really crazy. Cinderace, honestly, I'm keeping Cinderace at S tier. I think that there's a little bit of subjectivity on which jungler is better between Cinderace and Greninja, but nonetheless, Cinderace is Cinderace. It's solid. It's just raw damage output. It's a lot less moving around and doing things with abilities like Greninja does, which I think gives Greninja a little bit less solo carry potential, but it's much higher consistent damage output in my opinion. Really good ultimate for stealing, really solid mobility, has feint, like it's crazy. Cinderace is Cinderace. All right, Absol, you know what? Hold on, let me just go ahead and move everybody out of Absol's way really quickly. Let me grab everybody here. All right, Absol's where Absol needs to be. The problem with Absol, let me explain, because I know I got kind of griped at one time I did a tier list and I didn't explain. Absol is an early game animal, absolute monster, but the character cannot team fight, and that is honestly how you win games. The character can't team fight. I think that this character needs a lot of help. I think that it's undeniably the worst character in the game to me. Very, very, yeah, I don't know. It's just unfortunate, the current state of Absol. I am not very happy with it. Charizard is basically the same thing as Garchomp, honestly, probably a little bit better, but in terms of the tier list, I don't think that they rank super like high above each other. It's just the current state of jungle doesn't really allow a lot of play with all-rounders, but they're good, man. Like these two characters are really, really solid. I think I would love to play them more. The current jungle meta is just really being dominated. I think that if we ever do get a pick and ban, like in the future, a lot of this stuff's going to shake up anyways naturally, but a really, really solid pick. Great damage, great dive potential. Yeah, has a good jungle clear, all of those things. Pikachu, I think like Pikachu's another niche pick. Like, it's not like this character's useless. The thing is I think that Pikachu is the Absol of attackers, like really, really strong early game, but just like falls off a cliff and then can't really do anything. But that said, I would much rather have a Pikachu on my team than I would an Absol, because Pikachu can at least still get some work done in the end game, where it feels like Absol is big, like non-existent, truly. This is supposed to be Venusaur, but I have a Bulbasaur image in here for whatever reason. Bulbasaur, Venusaur, really good now, like pretty solid. I think that it's a slight bit more niche than other attackers, so you're not going to really see it take a strong position over Cramorant or Ninetales, which is why we have it down in the B tier, but really good steal potential, really good poke. There's not enough being said about poke characters in this game, and playing for a poke comp and playing engagements for poke. But yeah, really solid character. I think really, really good. Yeah. Zeraora, the other speedster that deserves a little bit of a spotlight. I'm actually going to put him over this Bulbasaur, because Bulbasaur's taking up some space. Yeah, the other speedster that deserves spotlight, probably better than Talonflame, because I think his team fight is just better. Crazy burst damage, would probably be a pretty top tier jungler if the current jungle meta wasn't being dominated by these two homies up here. But yeah, what more to say about Zeraora? Just a really, really strong pick. Wigglytuff. Honestly, I'm still of the mind. Like, I'm still of the mind that Wigglytuff is just an A tier support. The support role is very strong in this game. I don't feel any negative way about it. I think Eldegoss, Wigglytuff, very interchangeable. It really comes down to how you want to play, what kind of team you want to play. Honestly, even Wigglytuff and Eldegoss being played together has been seen. Really, really strong. Snorlax, S tier tank, man. Like, you can't nerf this guy enough. Block is still ridiculous. They actually buff Flail now, so I don't know if that's going to change in the meta. I don't know if people are going to start taking that, but he's the best tank in the game. There's such a gap between Snorlax and other tanks, and like I said, these two tanks I don't even really have a strong opinion of. This is actually going to be a comment thing. This is my call to action today. Let me know in the comment section down below what you think about the two other tanks, because I really don't know where to rank them. This is just what my mind tells me. This is what I'm feeling when I look at them. But yeah, I don't know. Don't feel great about it. Machamp, the same thing, dude. The all-arounders in this game are actually nuts. I'm sticking with that sentiment. They're nuts. They're really, really strong. They just don't have anywhere to go. You know, Garchomp, Charizard, Machamp, they can't lane. So they need a jungle, or they need to get buffed so they can lane better. But I just don't really see it happening in the current meta, and it is what it is. And last but not least, our new queen, Blissey. This character is broken. Like, I think that this character might be overpowered. I'm not even kidding. So much ridiculous healing, so much support, buffing your teammates, shielding them, has a knock-up, is kind of tanky, doesn't bring a lot in the way of CC per se, but it just really, really good. I'm kind of impressed. I'm kind of horrified by Blissey. I don't know what I think the best team comp will be. It's way too early for me to pick and choose what I think the best team comp will be, but honestly, if you just ran an S tier team comp, you'd have a solid team comp. You could put Greninja or Cinderace in lane, and this would be a great comp. Obviously, I do think that, like, one of the A tier attackers filling in that mage role would be a little bit better, but dude, this is the tier list to me right here. C tier, it really just comes down to like much more niche picks to me, with a question mark over Crustal. Poor Absol. I just don't know what to do with that character. I don't know. And then B tier is really like how I feel about the majority of the cast. Like, the majority of the cast feels really good. They're just like a little bit more niche, or they're just not nearly as good as somebody else. But like, I would be happy to play any of these characters in B tier. Honestly, happy. I would love to play any of them. They just don't really fit in the game super well right now in terms of high tier meta. So let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. I definitely want to know. Let's start the dialogue of it. Again, this is my hypothetical, like, hypothesis of a tier list. This is like day one, what I'm feeling about things that have changed, haven't changed, have been introduced into the game. And ultimately, I would love to know your thoughts. So let me know, drop a comment for me. As always, friends, thank you so much for hanging out and spending your time with me here on the channel. I definitely do appreciate it. We're getting really close to 9K subs, and you know, we'll just keep pushing, working hard, and doing all the fun things. So as always, friends, be sure to be kind to one another. Tell someone that you love them, and I'll see you on the next video.